Hello, world! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned into another live edition of the Locker Room Daily Report, or TLDR for short. It's your daily dose of me, or at least one bit of me, the live version of me. I am broadcasting this live. I do that every weekday. It's usually about an hour long, and you can get access to all of TLDR, not just a snippet, if you head over to chrispirillo.com and you become a patron right now. I came in off camera at the beginning because a long time ago, back when I first recorded HD videos, that's what I did. I'd set the camera up, press record, and then walk into frame. Not many people remember that, but I did. It is a Monday morning. I am wearing the t-shirt that I wore yesterday, this AT-AT Blueprint, which I love, and it's super soft and tagless. I got it last week. It was a part of one of the Pirillo Picks hauls. I get Star Wars t-shirts on a regular basis. That is the topic for today's TLDR, or at least the first part of it. Username, or he's a person, yes, but he goes by the handle Geekdom. He asked me to do something that, for some, may be a fair amount of challenge, and that is to point out 3 reasons that the prequels were great, or 3 things that were great about the prequels. Of course, when we mention the prequels around here, it's usually in relation to Star Wars, because you can bring up any topic. Inevitably, I will figure out how to turn any topic into Star Wars. It's one of my talents. I don't know if you knew this. This is something that I'm world renowned for. So, as such, I can easily come up with 3 things that were great about the Star Wars prequels. The first thing I actually mentioned in TLDR last week, the soundtrack. The themes, the score that John Williams composed was breathtaking. No doubt about it. And I had actually mentioned one of my favorite themes in last week's topic, one of the last week's topics. I think it was Friday. I said that I love Anakin's theme. It was one of my top 3. Across the Stars, another fantastic theme. And honestly, I find that so many of the themes within the prequels are memorable, and incredibly memorable, and certainly one of my favorite parts about the prequels. In fact, even if you did not like the prequels, it's okay to like the music from the prequels. And I think, honestly, the music, it stands well enough on its own, but certainly, further enhances the experience when it comes to, in relation to the Star Wars prequels. The Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. So I find that the soundtrack is breathtaking and memorable, enjoyable on a deep, substantial level. And that's something that I'm not going to deny. And I don't think anybody could. If anybody would say that, I think they may be not giving the soundtrack a fair shake, even if they didn't like the films. And I'm not saying that I didn't like the films. I'm pointing out 3 great things about the prequels. The second thing that I thought was great about the prequels was that it exposed us to a different time in the galaxy. And this is something that I appreciated, if only because in growing up and thinking that the last Star Wars movie, or Star Wars anything, that I was ever going to see was Return of the Jedi, that was disappointing. It was kind of like, as a child, I didn't have anything to look forward to anymore, and I kind of had to move on, and I didn't want to move on. I didn't feel the need to move on. It was like when Kenner ended its run of Star Wars figures, and I had them. I was lucky enough to get them. I've now seemingly misplaced many of those, but I'm going to rebuild my vintage collection. That's the plan. But just being exposed to another time period, it was nice to see. Because, not only had I imagined, the origins of some of these characters, but just seeing it and seeing how dramatically different this time in the galaxy was compared to what we knew in the original trilogy, it was just nice. It was like, okay. Yeah, I guess that it makes sense, because everything within the prequels was just so nice, honestly. I mean, it looked nice, it clean and structured and what have you, versus a very dirty original trilogy kind of feel, because the galaxy was worn in at that stage. But I think that really stylistically made sense for the prequels, because the galaxy had not yet descended into chaos under the rule of Emperor Palpatine, and that was, Sheev. That's Emperor. Before he was the Emperor, he's always been Sheev. Sheev. That's his first name. Seriously, Sheev. Look it up. I find that it was something that didn't click for me until I saw. I'm trying to think of the exhibit name. It's a traveling exhibit. It debuted at EMP here in Seattle. I did 2 videos on it, as a matter of fact. One was a part of the blog, and another one was just a standalone video. I think it was called Rebel, Princess, Jedi, Scoundrel? No. Rebel, Princess, Jedi. Star Wars and the Power of Costume. I remember that. And in walking through this exhibit, it was really... I guess witnessing a stark contrast between the ornate costumes and design and decor of the prequels versus the original trilogy. And I guess I never really thought about it until I saw it in person. And certainly with the range of, let's say, Padme Amidala's dresses in The Phantom Menace, all the way to what senators wore. It was just, even Palpatine himself, it was just seeing it physically really just, made me appreciate the prequels differently, because I realized, I'm like, oh, I guess it was a different time, and I appreciated that it was a different time, and it was also... displayed, portrayed differently. It wasn't just, this is a different time in the galaxy. You could actually see it. You actually experienced and you saw a different time based on costume compared to the original trilogy, which quite honestly did not have a range of costumes, if only, sad to say it, here touching back into reality, because they didn't have the budget. But stylistically, it certainly worked, and I think worked in favor of the prequels, coming from a different era altogether. Oh, thank you, Liz. Rebel, Jedi, Princess, Queen. Queen, not Scoundrel. I know, the two are kind of interchangeable, but no, they're not interchangeable at all. The third reason why I think the prequels are great, and by the way, I am drinking, this is probably where I didn't even realize I was drinking out of my Scoundrel mug today. This is my second cup of coffee. The third reason that I think the prequels are great is because we got exposed to a whole multitude of new aliens and robots and creatures and activities. While some people were not a fan of the pod race, I actually liked it. I thought I liked the pod race. I enjoyed it. I even played the video game on the PC back in the day. I played the pod racer game. Loved the pod race. I enjoyed it. I really genuinely enjoyed it. It's a new activity in the galaxy. Like, we had no idea pod races existed, but they did. And I also loved all the new creatures, because that's, honestly, I will tell you, that's one of my favorite things about Star Wars, is just different aliens and creatures. And you know me, when it comes to toys, the aliens, creatures, robots, monsters, I'm a fan. Huge fan. And, just being exposed to new races and new things is exhilarating. And I think that's a great aspect of the prequels. I don't want to just dwell on how the prequels were necessarily executed, which I think, we could have a deep discussion on. But I obviously collect Star Wars figures. I love Star Wars figures. Love them. Love them. I don't care what era they're from. I love them. Cool aliens! Alien figures! I don't even have all the pod racers. I just got this recently on sale. So it looks like I'm going to be spinning up my pod racer figure collection at some point. I have already. I have a few more to go. Just a few. So those are 3 great things about the prequels. Aspects, 3 reasons the prequels are great. Maybe you can come up with another reason. I really don't want to hear about why you think they're horrible. Okay, that's honestly been overplayed. I'm talking about why they're great. These are legitimate reasons. These are my reasons. These are my feelings. And you can't sit there and say, you're wrong or you're stupid Because calling me stupid for how I feel about a film is like me calling you stupid for not liking a food. That is stupid. The action of calling someone stupid for liking a food is stupid. That's the only stupid thing. You can't do that. You just can't do that, right? It's my opinion. It's like my taste. It's like how I feel. You can't call me stupid for that. Or you could, but you're the one who looks stupid. I'm going to move on to, again, another not very stupid topic. Moving on to today's Pirillo Picks. It's a daily show and tell. After that, I'm going to be answering questions and interacting with my community, patrons. You can head over to chrispirillo.com and sign up. And James, I believe, just signed up. I didn't know you could do this on YouTube, but there's a support button, I guess, now on YouTube. They make it clear. He just subscribed on YouTube. Like, supported on YouTube. That's Joms. That's your new nickname. Joms, high five. Internet high five. I saw it show up on the screen just a few seconds before I started streaming. I'll be talking about today's news after all that too, so head over to chrispirillo.com and get more from me every day. Today's free podcast highlight was brought to you by all of my active patrons from chrispirillo.com. If you want access to the full TLDR episodes, both audio, video, past, present, and future, which can be up to an hour long or longer, with even more tech insight from me every weekday, plus other bonus content without ads, and support me at the same time, you can sign up to become one of my supernomies too. This is just a brief taste of what I'm producing for you daily. Again, get more through chrispirillo.com.